Hello, good day, everybody. Today I'll be continuing on the series Why Programming Can Be Easy. Why Programming Can Be Easy. This will be the second part in the series, Why I Believe Programming Can Be Easy. So the reason for this paper is to encourage anyone interested in being a software developer and to show some similarities between human language and human society stroke programming language. Terms used in this paper: lowercase pl means programming language, lowercase hl means human language, uppercase hl means human life. Words in double quotes are words you should pay more attention to the spelling. In my first video, we looked at 7 similarities. Today, we'll be looking at 9 new similarities. So the first I'll be discussing today is that PL allows you to use Alias to replace object names a lot. So you can give an object a name you can easily remember, just like human life. An individual can have different nicknames, or AKA. PL allows such so that while you're writing a code, you could give a nickname to make it easier for you to remember the object or classes and then be able to reference or call it, as well as accessing the various attributes. So examples: import numpy as np, which is common in Python. Second similarity is PL allows you to reference or assign attributes or methods to objects, similar to writing in English language. In human life, you can refer to someone's height by saying John's height is 1.5 meters, for example. But in PL, an example of this sentence would be John dot height equals 1.45 meters. So operators like the dot operator is most commonly used when accessing properties as well as when accessing methods. You use the dot operator. Of course, it can differ from one PL to another, but the dot operator is very commonly used across multiple programming languages. The third similarity is that ending a sentence or phrase, I meant to write or phrase, is common in human life using characters like the comma or full stop. PL also has ways phrases or sentences can be ended, so the compiler will recognize that a phrase has ended. Example of such characters or symbols are the semicolon. Some PLs don't use any symbol to indicate end of a simple statement, e.g. Ruby, Python. By simple statement, I mean a one-line statement. So I promised that today we would look at multiple languages, try to put to practice, and then achieve the same thing. So I'll briefly demonstrate writing a mathematical calculation or arithmetic calculation using Ruby language, using Python language, and using C# so that we'll see the way this third similarity can be demonstrated. So let's start with Ruby. I'll be using Aptana. This is Ruby. So if we are to do an arithmetic calculation in Ruby, it is simply, for example, A equals, let's say 6, B equals 5. And then puts, this is a Ruby keyword, A plus B. So once you run it, yes, I want to save it. So it's giving us 6 plus 5 is 11. So Ruby does not mandate you to put a column or semicolon at the end when you are trying to write a simple statement. Let's look at how Python also does its own. This is Spider, a Python IDE. So the same thing, A equals, is it 5 I used first? A equals 6, and then B equals 5. So Python will use the print keyword A plus B. And then when you run it, so it's giving us 11 here. Now let's now look at C sharp. C sharp is going to expect that you have to tell it what kind of data type. So C sharp example will be 6 is the first, so integer A equals 6. So C sharp expects now is put red sign showing that there's an error. So I put the semicolon, integer B equals 5. I must put the semicolon. Now integer C equals A plus B. Again, I must put this semicolon. So how do I display it in C sharp? Console dot write line. Of course, this is IntelliSense that I mentioned in my first video. So we want it to display C, which is the summation of A and B, and then the semicolon must end. So in C sharp, you must define the type of data type, the data type, and then end it with a semicolon. Now, almost the same thing runs with Java and some C++ and some other languages. So if we run it now, we should be able to get 11 to be displayed. Okay, so that's it. This is 11 being displayed here. 11 is here on top. So that's, I've demonstrated 3 different languages how you can achieve the same thing. So let's quickly go back to the paper. So the fourth similarity here is paragraphs. In human language, paragraphs are ways to communicate a point. So when writing a letter, for example, it's likely a paragraph will have a single point being communicated in it. Now, PL also has its own way of writing a paragraph, and this is called a code block. Now, the fifth point is in human life, a mother, for example, can say to the school teacher of her daughter that if I come early from work, I will come and pick my daughter from school. If not, her daddy will come to pick her. This in PL is an example of a flow statement or a control flow statement. So basically, flow statement will test for a condition and then take an action or not take an action. There are various variants to the flow statement. The example is the if statement, case statement, do statements, do while or while statements, for statements, etc. and a few other types depending on the language. But these are the commonly used flow statements. The sixth point is that just like when you are writing a letter in human language, writing code in PL is done line by line. So many PLs allow you to omit some lines if you want to. So you could write a code in line 1 and then up to write the next code in line 4. So you could just assume you are writing a letter and the compiler will be reading it line by line, line by line, line by line. The same thing, if there's an error, it will tell you most likely the line the error is. So the seventh point is, for example, the title of a president of a country will most likely remain the same over a period of time, irrespective of who occupies the position. This is an example of a constant in PL. While in a football team, e.g. Football club or national team, a particular jersey number will be worn by various players. The names of the players who wear the same jersey number over a period of time for the same club is an example of a variable in PL. So a constant remains fixed over a period of time, while a variable allows you to put in values and then change the values as you like. So the eighth point is in human life, a student can be saving money monthly with the intention of using the saved money at the end of the year to buy something. This is an example of placeholder in PL. Now, depending on the language, placeholders might differ in definition, but this is a well-accepted definition of placeholders. It allows you to store values, and then you are not going to use the values until later on within the program. So you can store values temporarily and then manipulate the values to return a final value. So the ninth point I want to mention today is that if you imagine a house with 10 bedrooms and a living room, the living room can be accessed by all who live in the house, while the bedrooms can only be accessed by those who live in each bedroom. Now, this is an example of scope in programming language. This allows you to design a software in modules, allowing some modules to be accessed from anywhere and by every object within the application, while other modules can only be accessed by members of the same module. Declaring the scope of a module is done using such syntax as public private. Now, for an understanding of syntax, please refer to my first video in this series. And then I would say that I will not mention any PL as my preferred, as I said in the first video. You should watch my first video in this series to see the points I mentioned when you are choosing the programming language you intend to use. So the world still needs programmers. It's a field that's still evolving after decades of existence. Thank you for your time and see you next time.